Good morning, America. Evening, Asia. Hello, world. Welcome to the program. Let's get cracking. South Africa has a new president, and the economy is one of Cyril Ramaphosa's biggest priorities. Let's take a look at the details, because the latest numbers we have showed growth of just, 2%. Political turmoil and poor public finances have certainly been the big problems. So too is the staggeringly high unemployment rate of nearly 27%. It's one reason the country desperately needs more investment. And South Africa has been struggling to attract that investment from abroad. In 2016, foreign direct investment was $2.27 billion. Sounds like a lot, but it was significantly down on previous years. But of course, the political changes bring the promise of economic reform. This year, the number of rand required to buy $1 has fallen as the South African currency continues to grow in strength. So that's good news. Let's get rid of the cube. As promised, I want to go straight over to Johannesburg and speak to Anne Bernstein, who is the head of the leading South Africa's leading think tank. It's the Centre for Development, and she joins us. Anne, great to have you on the program. So listen, the rand continues to strengthen. The markets are up. Is this because, well, two things. A, that Zuma's finally gone, but also B, because Cyril Ramaphosa, he's a businessman, and that's what the business community want to see.
Look, today is an enormous sigh of relief throughout the country. We have got rid of a president who has been a disaster for South Africa, and we have a man with a track record who understands business and who's determined to get the country moving again and who, I think, has a clear plan of what to do.
And to get the country moving again, we keep hearing one of his priorities is he's going to have to put that whole corruption, all those allegations, that corruption label behind. And I was just wondering how difficult that will be, considering that the heads of almost all of the law enforcement are Zuma appointees. He's going to have to change that, isn't he?
He's going to have to make a swath of new appointments in the cabinet and in key institutions, in the revenue service, and in a number of key parastatals. So he's got to act fast to get rid of corrupt individuals who've been embroiled in the state capture project, and to make sure that he sends a strong signal to business and investors that this is a new man in town, a new broom, and we are putting in credible, commercially credible, professionally credible men and women of integrity into the cabinet and into a number of key appointments.
And I want to ask you this, because the government's National Development Plan says a growth of 5.4% a year is needed to meet the goal of reducing that 27% unemployment rate. But if you look at this year, the expectations by your central bank is for 1.4%. Next year, growth is expected to be 1.6%. It's a long way from 5.4%.
Look, South Africa's almost at rock bottom, and it's a big mountain we have to climb. I think there are a lot of pent-up investment, that some of which had been halted because it didn't suit the corruption and state capture project that was facilitated by the president, the former president. So I think there's pent-up investment. I think you can turn sentiment very quickly, and then we have to systematically make the right decisions and start to put South Africa on a much more labor-intensive and much higher growth path. But it is possible, and I think you can...
No, sorry to interrupt. I was just saying, in about 20 seconds, to get more foreign investment, do investors want to see, when we clean up the corruption, do they want to see Zuma prosecuted?
Look, I think we need a lot of people to be prosecuted, and certainly it would be an enormous signal to send domestically and internationally that South Africa has a whole new approach to government if the former president stood trial. He kept telling us he wanted to go to have his day in court. I think there are many South Africans who think, bring it on, the sooner the better.
Okay, Anne Bernstein from Johannesburg, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much for joining us. Good day for you guys. So we're going to go from Johannesburg to New York now, and we're going to talk about this. President Trump's budget plans for 2019 are due to face their first real scrutiny, shortly, that is. It's going to happen shortly when his Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, is grilled by an influential congressional committee. Now, they might ask him about reports of a plan to increase the federal gasoline tax by 25%. This would be to help, of course, fund the president's $1.5 trillion infrastructure plan. Let's go straight over. Yogita, our very own, who's on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Hey, Yogita, happy to see you. Listen, we'll talk about this gasoline tax in a minute, but I'm just kind of wondering what this congressional committee will want to be hearing from Steve Mnuchin.
Well, I think some of the toughest questions he's going to be asked, Aaron, are about whether the president plans